I'm going to call to order the January 6th, 2026 meeting of the College of Redwoods Board of Trustees. And to begin, I will ask you to join me in bless you and honor those serving our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We also begin with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that College of the Redwoods is located on the unceded territory of the Wiyot, Hoopa, Karuk, Matol, Tolowa, and Wabanaki and Yurok people, where they have resided from time immemorial. We encourage all to gain a deeper understanding of their history and thriving culture. As an expression of our gratitude, we are genuinely committed to developing trusting, reciprocal, and long-lasting partnerships with the Wiyot people, as well as all of our neighboring tribes. At this time, we could have public comments. Do we have any public?
There are none.
No public comments. Okay. We will have member comments, and out of order, I will start because I want to welcome all of us for 2026. And it's going to be quite a year. And so much going on that it's so many wonderful things happening. So welcome to 2020. Okay, on that board member comments. Trustee Picardi.
I just want to mention that I listened to a key TV segment where President Flamer and Molly Blakemore interviewed CR Counselor Angela Stewart and Professor of Forestry and Natural Resources Valerie Elder. And I learned a lot about beekeeping. It's fascinating. And I learned that bees in the hive have a personality which is dictated by the queen's demeanor. I thought that was it. Only a couple weeks since our last meeting, so there wasn't too much going on.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah. Anyone else? Oh, yes, Trustee Begin.
I just wanted to say, since our last meeting on social media, there's been postings from the police academy. And I really enjoyed seeing all the positive postings. And there was one family from Hoopa where the uncle pinned the nephew, and it just meant so much to the family. The young man is actually hired by the Yurok tribe, but he's born and raised in Hoopa. And it's just a lot of positive vibes, for the Hoopa community and for that particular family. And his aunt was on the foundation board. I don't know if she still serves, Jill Sherman. Is the aunt of the cadets that graduated. So anyway, and kudos to those who facilitated that program.
Okay, Trustee Turner. Vice President Vaughn.
As long as you mentioned Facebook, I just saw on my feed yesterday was a professor promoting a business class and trying to get students to do it. It was an incredible presentation she did, just about the whole class. And she's from Crescent City, and I thought it was for her business class. It was really good. Well done.
Okay, anyone else? That brings us to 3.3, an update on the Brown Act from Mr. Steve Reiner from the Schools and Colleges Legal Services and our attorney. 3.2, do we have any?
Hello, thank you for having me. So Dr. Flamer asked that I just give a brief update on SB 707. I know there's been some questions about that, and so it's my honor to be here and give you that update. Some are saying this is the most significant Brown Act update in some time, but many of the changes are actually refinements of earlier Brown Acts, like the pandemic-related measures, that recognize an increasing use and availability of video teleconferencing. So some of those statutes were set to expire. SB 707 provides either new extensions or makes them permanent, and adds a few other things as well. But largely, this is a single reorganization of a lot of the sections within the Brown Act. So we'll go over those. I think what's important also is, before I get into those, to address a question that I've gotten from several districts asking about eligible legislative bodies. And so there is a section that talks about eligible legislative bodies. That's a defined section of the Brown Act. It does not apply to school districts or community colleges. But as you're out, you're talking with your community members, and people are saying, oh, well, we're complying with this Brown Act requirement, aren't you? It's mainly the eligible legislative bodies are really counties and cities with certain population requirements. So just keep that in mind. And again, they don't apply to colleges and College of the Redwoods. So, but some of what that does include is it's a requirement that districts hold, or local agencies hold, public hybrid meetings with two-way audiovisual platforms. It requires remote participants to be allowed to make public comments. It requires a policy to be adopted to address service disruptions to the internet. And if a disruption occurs, disruption being something that would be from the public, a public disruption, it would require a 1-hour recess and a good faith effort to restore order before continuing. Probably the biggest of the eligible legislative bodies, again, that's defined, is a translation to the languages spoken by 20% of the population, and that agenda be posted 72 hours in advance of regular meetings. So again, that does not apply currently to colleges. However, the way that these things work, the statutes, what in the past you see that they apply to a certain section, and then eventually a certain legislator will say, hey, this should be good for everyone. So while it does not apply, just take a note of that may be something coming in the future, and to bookmark. The changes that do apply, all right, I guess what we're all waiting for here is, well, what does apply to us? Tradition, and to just give a background, there are updates to the teleconferencing requirements. And so traditional teleconferencing, which is still there, you can still follow the traditional teleconferencing requirements, but there are some additional exceptions. And we used to have just cause, we still have just cause and emergency exceptions. Those were passed separately in two different bills, again, during the pandemic, and those have now been consolidated and reorganized. But they add to the traditional teleconferencing requirements. So again, what's the traditional teleconferencing requirement? That allows a member to attend remotely. However, they must post the agenda at the remote location, and that's 72 hours for a regular meeting, 24 hours for a special meeting. And those locations must be open to the public and ADA accessible. So, for example, you wouldn't be able to appear remotely and drive in your car because it wouldn't be open to the public and ADA accessible because you'd be driving away. A quorum must also participate within the boundaries of the agency. Again, so that's just traditional teleconferencing requirements. Now, just cause and emergency exceptions to the traditional teleconferencing requirements were expiring, and those have now been expanded. So they've been extended to January 1st of 2030. So we've got a few more years of these exceptions for just cause and emergency situations. So let's just go over that quickly to describe what just cause is, when it's allowed, and what are the updates. So just cause allows the public to participate. The public must also participate remotely, but it allows a member to avoid the traditional teleconferencing requirements, which I just went over. So you don't have to post the agenda at your location. You don't have to make it ADA accessible, and you don't have to allow the public to speak at your location. A quorum must participate at a singular location within the jurisdiction of the agency when using the just cause exception. At the start of the meeting, the remote member would state the need to participate remotely with a brief description of one of the acceptable reasons that allows them to appear remotely, and I'll go over that in a second. You do not need to disclose private medical information, which is, one of the reasons for having just cause to not follow the traditional teleconferencing requirements. The minutes for the meeting shall identify the reason that the member relied on to participate remotely. In other words, what was the just cause? And it must be the member must use audio and visual technology when participating. So what is the just cause? What reasons could you use to appear remotely without following the traditional teleconferencing requirements? That is, if you're the caregiver of a family member, if you have a contagious illness, you have a physical or mental disability, or district-related travel prevents that member from appearing in person. So SB 707 expanded the just cause to include caregiving of a family member, and family members broadly defined. So there are specifics in there, but just, it's pretty liberal in its definition of a family member. Or your illness, and a physical or family medical emergency. And that used to be the emergency section that has now been rolled in together under just cause. And it also allows, just cause also allows military service. So if you're participating in the military and you're a service member, you can appear using just cause. You cannot appear for more than 2 meetings per calendar year for boards that hold 1 regular meeting monthly. That goes up depending on if you have more than 1 regular meeting scheduled. But it's only allowed twice per year, essentially, if you're holding 1 regular meeting monthly. Okay, what else in SB 707? It does codify, there used to be an exception. There was Attorney General's opinion that said someone with a disability should be allowed to appear remotely. That is now codified, so it permanently allows members with disabilities who are prevented from attending due to their disability to attend remotely as a reasonable accommodation. That member must use an audio and visual platform unless their disability requires an exception to participate off camera. Attendance for all purposes is the equivalent of of in-person attendance. And again, that just wraps into a statute what an Attorney General opinion previously said. Disruptions, SB 707 also discusses disruptions during teleconferencing. It specifically adds a rule about the exclusion of persons who disrupt a meeting, whether that's in person or members of the public participating remotely. If a member of the public disrupts, disturbs, impedes, or renders infeasible the orderly conduct of the meeting, that person's further participation can be restricted. It does require a warning prior to the removal. The warnings are not required if the person is making a threat of violence. Social media comments, it was already part of the Brown Act that, and this one is, I think it's kind of a gotcha one, but you're not allowed to like comments of another member if they're stating, items within the purview of your district. It removes that sunset provision for that social media related provision and prohibits commenting or liking another legislative body's member's post. So that sunset provision has ended and is now permanently part of the Brown Act. Copies of the Brown Act, it requires that copies of the Brown Act be given to newly elected or appointed board members. It does not say that they are required to read it, but we hope that everybody does. I know that at all my cocktail parties that I went to over the holidays, everyone was talking about the Brown Act. It was very exciting, but now you have a full copy of it. So it doesn't state the format or whether a digital or hard copy is required. So it's whatever gets that information to the member. Clarification about exceptions to public comment. There were requirements for public comment, and when it's not required, that's been modified slightly. The earlier version of the statute provided that no public comment was required if an item had already been considered at a public meeting by a committee composed exclusively of members of the legislative body. While that language is still retained, the update provides that public comment may be required if the item under consideration has changed substantially, and that's the key language, since the committee meeting, or if a quorum of the committee did not participate from a singular physical location. And that's all the updates from SB 707 regarding the Brown Act.
Okay. Are there any questions from our trustees? Question. Oh, sorry.
Could you again review the social media requirements now as far as, not allowing us to comment or like other agencies' comments?
Yeah, is your question, what is the prohibition on that?
Yes.
So if one member is stating something that's within the purview, like it's within the subject matter of the district, another member cannot like that comment because the general concept is we don't want to have meetings that are not in front of the public, that are not noticed with the 72-hour requirement or 24-hour requirement, whether it's a special or regular meeting. And so the legislature said that if members are commenting on something, maybe it's a topic that the board would be considering. If members are liking it, that is prohibited under the Brown Act.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Trustee Dorn?
So I'm doing this a bit off the top of my head. I believe our board policy states that the member has to be in the district to participate remotely. But under the revisions, as long as they have just cause, do they have to be in the district or in the country?
So the requirement is that a majority of the members appear within the district at a single location. So the remote individual would not need to be within the district.
So if our board policies is different than that, should we change our board policy or what's your recommendation on that?
Yeah, I'm happy to look at your board policy. I mean, if it's more restrictive than the law, you would still follow your board policy.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
Carol?
Yes, trustee Pedrati?
So I'm wondering, can every member be remote? Like our board president lives 2 hours away and sometimes the roads are bad. If she couldn't get here, could she still conduct the meeting as the president from the remote area?
Yeah, it would depend on if there's a quorum physically present, but otherwise, if you otherwise qualify under the teleconferencing requirements, you could still, participate in any capacity remotely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for joining us and reviewing this for us. And we will be reviewing our policy to be sure it's in line. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to go back to 3.2.
3.2. We did. I have been reminded that I didn't cover agenda item 3.2 board committee reports. So I will ask if there are any board committee reports. Okay, thank you. We move now to 3.4 revised Board of Trustees goals for 25-27. This is an action item. Do I have a motion?
I so move for approval.
I second.
Thank you. We've seen this before. This was adding we discussed adding the goal of leadership and oversight of the presidential search process. That's the change here. Any comments, questions? No? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We move to 3.5, amend board meeting dates, times, and locations for 2026. This is an action item, so can I have a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and second. This change is to move the January board workshop to February 21st. And I believe that Trustee Biggin would like us to consider the 28th instead. So she cannot be here on the 21st. So the question becomes, is there any board member who cannot be here at 10 o'clock on Saturday, February 28th? checking calendars. You're fine? We're all good?
Yeah, that's better.
In that case, without objection to your motion,
I amend my motion to move the February workshop to the 28th.
okay. All right,
I'll second.
okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, thank you. So 10 o'clock on Saturday, February 28th. Okay. Now organizational procedures, 4.1. Appoint 2 trustees as co-chairs of the ad hoc president superintendent search committee. And to that role, I am appointing Board Vice President Dorn and Trustee Mullery to head this committee. This is really a big responsibility, a time-consuming responsibility. I look at them for their experience on the board and their experience in previous hiring processes. Thank you very much for doing that. As part of the forming that search committee, I would like to ask President Flamer to please reach out to the Academic Senate, the Management Council, and CSEA for appointments to the the Applicant Review Committee per our policy BP 2431, and give them a deadline of January 16th. And also, I would like you to recommend to the board an administrator to serve on that committee. Okay. 4.2, appoint trustees to the ad hoc president superintendent evaluation committee. I'm going to appoint Trustee Pedrati, Trustee Biggin, and myself. And I would ask Trustee Pedrati to call the first meeting of that committee, and then the committee will choose a chair for that. Okay, for the timeline on the policy. 4.3, appoint trustees to the ad hoc board self-evaluation committee. I would like to appoint Trustee Biggin, Trustee Mullery, and Trustee Rice. And I would ask Trustee Biggin to get the first meeting of that going, and then your committee can choose the chair. 4.4, appoint trustees to the audit finance committee. And I would like to appoint Vice President Dorn, Trustee Pedrati, and Trustee Dronkers. Next, 4.5, I would like to appoint trustees as board representatives to the CR Foundation, and I am appointing Trustee Mullery and Trustee Rice. And last, 4.6, I would like to appoint trustees to the ad hoc committee to review Chapter 2 board policies, administrative procedures, including our teleconferencing, Brown Act, etc. And I'm appointing Trustee Rice, Trustee Dronkers, and myself. And I would like to thank all the trustees who have already told me that this will be okay with serving on those committees. Thank you. Also, I would just like to acknowledge that Trustee Biggin and Trustee Pedrati are going to be attending the League Annual Trustee Conference in Sacramento later this month. So thank you for investing your time and attention to that conference. Okay. This moves us to item number 5, the consent calendar action items. Any board member may remove an item from the consent calendar and place it under discussion. Items removed will be voted on separately. As part of any agenda action, a trustee can request that this type of item be included on the next consent calendar. So we have 8 consent items. Does any trustee wish to pull any item from the consent calendar?
I move for approval.
Thank you.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, happy New Year to me.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Jack, thank you. Okay, all those in favor of approving, the entire consent calendar, 5.1 through 5.5, say, 5.8, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Those, okay. Agenda item 6, the action discussion items. The first is to approve a presidential search consultant firm. This is an action item.
I move approval.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and now I will ask our search chairs to give us information about this.
So there were interviews conducted with search firms, different search firms, with trustee Mullery, myself, President Flamer, and our Julie. And we all unanimously agreed to one particular search firm, and the reasons were, one is they placed the president at Mendo, they placed the president at Siskiyou. Will, who will be our consultant, goes up to Siskiyou quite a bit, helping them out with their new president. They also, one thing that really hit us was they looked at our BP policy and they wrote their proposal to fit our policy on the different searches and how to interact with that. They also are very willing to come to campus, willing to help with the different parts of the process, not only just the final interviews, but building the presidential profile. And building the presidential profile is actually the purpose of the now February 28th meeting. That's where the board will come together. We anticipate the board will come together, and Trustee Mullery and I will have met with the constituent groups ahead of that, and we'll have all the information of what everyone thinks the future president should look like, and the board will put that information together in a process. We really, and the other thing this firm does is, you'll notice, they're gonna do the reference checks, which is huge. They'll also help negotiate the final contract. In their data system, they already have a range of payroll, and their personalities, I think, really fit the board's personality as a whole. And Will actually comes up here quite a bit to go fishing. I mean, it sounds like a little detail, but he knows our area, and he has somewhat of a feel for who we are. Trustee.
No, you've summarized it very, very nicely, Trustee Dorn. I will add that, as Trustee Dorn mentioned, we interviewed 2 firms. Both firms were really very good. So I just wanted to say that both firms had good experience, professionalism, communication skills. We lean towards the one that we have or recommending to you for many of the reasons that Trustee Dorn had noted. I especially like the fact that they have experience as community college presidents, that they were familiar with the area. They are highly professional, very experienced, and as has already been mentioned, more than willing to come up and be on campus with us for many of the steps in the search process, not just 1 or 2. And again, I want to say that the other firm was a strong firm, strong contender, but we had to select one, and this is the one that we selected and are recommending to you. I'm very excited about having such a professional firm working with us for such an important decision in lies ahead.
So, you need to identify for us the name of the firm
What you're voting on today.
that we're voting.
Isn't it in the packet?
No,
CCSF.
CCSS, yeah, it's in the packet.
College,
With the
community
contact.
college search.
okay, sorry. Okay,
And I just wanted to say one
Yes.
last thing. This is the first time since trustee Mullery and trustee Bingham and I have been on the board that we've used a consultant. So, and then trustee Mullery and I have been on almost every search committee together or have shared, one of us has chaired it. And just the advantage of having a search firm, I look at this and it's like, oh, that makes this so much easier. And just their recruitment ability, I think is huge. I mean, I think it is a great, hopefully a great decision that we hired them.
Are there any questions from trustees? Any comments? Yes.
I was so impressed with the variety of experience of the consultants too, I thought. And I do think it's really important that they help with the development of the contract. Because I think we've gotten stung with that before. So I think that's really good.
Thank you. No further comments. All those in favor of approving this search consultant firm, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6.2, approve our monthly financial status report. I do need a motion.
I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. And President Flamer, do you have anything or?
Thank you. Just want to say that if the board would have noticed from the last board meeting that the fund reserve is 8-point-something%. And I've often said that budgeting is not a science, it's an art. And from some other funds, some other revenue came in, so our reserve as of this board meeting is 11.7. And that's still a bit low, but it's much better. So we do expect some additional revenue to come in. And the other piece, of course, we have that other lever of trying to curtail our expenditures to also bring that fund reserve back out. So we are going to exercise that as well. And I also want to say, I think I mentioned to the board last time, is we front loaded a lot of the budget for faculty positions to start in January to make sure that we continue our enrollment increases. And so that's what brought some of this down initially. I will be able to pick that.
Okay. Vice President Morrison, do you have anything to add?
Thank you for asking. I did not have anything to add, and I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Are there any trustees who have any questions on the monthly financial status report? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving it, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is 6.3, the first read of board policies and administrative procedures. This is a long list of policies that are not in the purview of the board. These are under the purview of other constituents in the district. And all of these have run through college council.
So have
Given that, however, there's lots of them. Are there any questions or any comments from board members on any of these policies? Okay, seeing none, they will be back on our February agenda for approval.
no, they will not.
They will not.
No, because the board doesn't have purview. So this is just information,
Okay, so,
and you will
okay.
not see these again until we change it.
okay, so not really first read, but review.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 6.4, approved college and career access pathways partnership with Klamath Trinity Joint Unified School District. This is an action item. I have a.
I make a motion.
Thank you, trustee Bingham.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. President Flamer, do you have any comment?
Very, very quickly, when I push the right button, I did meet with the acting superintendent principal at KT this morning. And I did offer CR's help to offer courses to the ATG that she may need help with. And she was very amenable to the offer, so we'll see if we can get that.
Right. Any questions or comments from trustees? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6.5, approve submittal of initial project proposal for the Public Safety Training Center replacement. Do I hear a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. This is one of those exciting things coming along in 2026. President Flamer, do you have any comments?
I do not, but I don't know if Leslie Marshall has any comments or any comment.
I don't have any
Anything
comments.
to add?
Happy to answer questions.
Okay,
Okay.
do trustees have any questions? Trustee Dorr?
So I was curious about the lead abatement in the new one and the old one, because I know at one point years back, we got hit up with a great deal of money to clean up the lead from the previous firing range.
We did, it was significant.
Right, so what's, when this transition makes, what's the deal or story with the?
We'll have to assess all the facilities for lead. and
If I may ask for the record, would you speak to the mic for me?
Can you hear me?
Is the red light on?
It is.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Apologies. We will have to assess each facility for lead and asbestos during the course of that project. And update all of the reports because I'm almost positive the previous reports are outdated.
Yes.
But I was actually thinking of the lead from the bullet.
firing range?
From the firing range, not the
So
rest.
I believe all of the ammunition is cycled through the actual academy responsibility, so I'm not entirely positive what their process is in great detail, but they handle all of that.
Any other? Trustee Biggs?
Regarding the covered open air firing range, how will that help? How much of the sound will that help abate?
So at this point, and we'll have to do some additional conversation with the state team. We're aiming at least partially enclosing the new firing range and looking at all the other architectural elements that'll help attenuate the sound further, including some baffling and potential walls to the exterior of the building. So it may or may not be fully enclosed, but the design team is looking at ways in which we can attenuate the sound to the best of knowledge.
At one point, I heard it was going to be underground, but this is not an underground.
It is not.
No.
The way that the state's financing structure, because it's an outdoor facility currently, we weren't able to, because the like for like replacement, we can't fully enclose it. So that's why it's proposed in the project to be partially open.
Yeah, I wasn't at an event in the area of the arts complex, and it was so distracting, you know, and anything we can do to help reduce the sound is, I think, critical. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Trustee? Okay, all those in favor of approving the submittal of the project proposal for the Public Safety Training Center replacement, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we come to 6.6. Adopt resolution 837, approving submittal of the final project proposal for the Student Resource Academy of the Redwoods replacement building.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. This is also an exciting project. I'm not going to read the resolution. It is Redwoods Community College District Board of Trustees, Resolution 837, approving the final project proposal for Student Resources and Academy of the Redwoods Replacement Building. And it basically says that we are approving this whole project proposal. Are there any questions or comments from board? This is again a very exciting proposal coming this year. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Resolution has been approved. Adopted. This brings us to item 7 on the agenda, our informational reports. And begin with 7.1 recognitions and President Flamer.
As you see in the report, there is a picture of the infamous or famous Julia Gilroy at her graduation ceremony with her degree on December 19th. So I did want to acknowledge her, although she told me not to, but I'm gonna do it anyway, because I'm the boss. So again, good job.
Yes,
Wonderful.
congratulations.
But also, I did also want to recognize Jody, because we have talked a lot about fraud, and she has done an incredible job at identifying fraud. And she saved us close to $35,000 with just one particular item. Now, I know that she works very hard to look at every invoice that comes in and to make sure that whatever is coming in and we pay out is actually legal. So I did want to acknowledge that in Jordan College.
Thank you. 7.2, the Keenan JPA presentation. President Flamer, do we have somebody?
I saw him earlier.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Do we just start? Are we good?
Yes, we're good, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. We really appreciate it. We have a presentation. Is it okay? Can we share that on the Zoom, or do we just want to?
Yes.
Okay. Someone else is sharing, so there we go.
There it is.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share it now. Everyone see that okay?
It's launching. There it is. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Jeff Johnston. I'm with Keenan, and I'm here with Colleen Bjarknes, which is also with Keenan. And we really appreciate the opportunity to present to you, because not often do we get to present to boards about your insurance programs. Insurance is not the most glamorous thing to present on, but it's our passion, and we really feel like we want to share with you why your participation is so critical in the success of this program. And I'll just also like to recognize Erica Barber and Julia Morrison, who are our board rep, Julia, and our alt is Erica, and for their participation in our pool. We just wanted to share with you a little bit about how you're covered, and will be a quick overview, even though there's a lot to this pool. But NCCC-SIA is Northern California Community Colleges Self-Insurance Authority. And so that is made up of, it's a joint powers authority. And as you probably know, JPAs, back in the day, back in the 70s, government entities were really not getting a good deal in the insurance market. So we're going to the brokers, getting off the shelf products, and really not covering what they wanted. And then in the 70s, to top it off, insurance carriers started saying, we don't really want to carry these government entities on here on our policies. And so we're going to jack up the prices. So as a rebuttal to that, in the late 70s, legislation was created to allow government entities to form joint powers authorities. And one of those, that's a good vehicle for an insurance alternative. So this really allowed us to put together self-insurance programs. And that's really the definition of a JPA. It allows us to pool together to have creative solutions for your exposures, and also an alternative to the traditional insurance. So we were formed quite a while ago, I think 30 plus years ago, NCCC-SIA. So We've been around for quite a while, and these are just some of the advantages. So, we're able to really help districts cover their exposures. We know you have a little bit unique exposures. Sometimes you want to do unique things and unique programs and unique training and teaching programs. So we're really designed to respond to the needs of your exposures and figure out how can we help you do the creative things that you do to create, productive students and productive education. And so that's really our focus. So we have our JPA is made up of, it's a property liability JPA and a workers' comp JPA. They're two separate programs. And you guys are part of 10 in our property and liability program and one of 11 in our workers' compensation program. So it gives you an idea of the neighbors. They're all in Northern California, as our name suggests. So we're all partners in this, and that's really another advantage of a JPA is we share the best practices. We get together 4 times a year. We have a board of directors. We have our current president is Susan Wheat. She's from Solano. Morgan Turner, your neighbor from Feather River. Kuldeep Kaur, Yuba Community College Districts. We have 4 meetings a year where we do much of the same as what you guys are doing here. We have Steve Reiner actually attends every one of our meetings, so it's good to see Steve. He makes sure we're complying with the Brown Act. He also provides us with legislative updates and things, so it's great to see another familiar face. We also do a lot in the way of policy review, so I saw you do the policy reviews on your board agenda. Erica Barber is a member of our policy review committee. We meet on a regular basis, updating all of our policies, making sure everything's up to date. And that's quite the task, but we appreciate Erica's participation in that committee. So we basically, I'm in charge of the JPA program management. So I help with all of the JPA coverages, helping the board through recommendations and making recommendations when it comes to coverage. But it's all one huge team. We have a team of quite a few, probably 6 that we work with regularly on a day-to-day basis and questions and things from Eric and Julia and others from the district. We do claims administration, we do the risk management committee oversight, we do loss control, we do all the finances for the pool, we do the brokerage, we do experience modification calculations, we do all these things. This is what Keenan does as part of operating the JPA, but I wanted to make it clear that the JPA is really owned and operated by the districts. We just help administer the program. We bring recommendations to you, and you guys are the ones making all the decisions. We just help place the coverage and kind of help it run the way that you guys want it to run. The other thing that we don't do and that we're overseen by is Steve Reiner. Steve Reiner is there at every meeting. We also have actuary. I'll talk about that in a minute, what that means and why we need to have an actuary. We have Christy White, which is a financial auditor, and we do all of the day-to-day finances, but we're also audited once a year, and I believe that's submitted through your processes. Our financial audit's given to you, and then that's submitted through your processes and controls. We have an appraisal company that we work with every 5 years. Your property gets appraised, make sure it's all up to date. You all have replacement value on your property. And then we have risk management services, which is a property and liability claims audit that's conducted every 2 years. So we've got a lot of audits going on, making sure we're doing the right thing. We're also approved by the California Association of Joint Powers Authorities. They are the governing body, kind of, so to speak, governing body. We're not really governed by a lot of insurance code. So we're really a self-regulated industry. So this association helps to make sure that we are following all of the rules and regulations of really what you need to do to run an effective JPA, and we're accredited by them with excellence. So every 3 years we submit all of our processes to them, and just to make sure that we're all above board and running well. So here's the team that I was talking about. That's me, and then we also have Lauren and Caitlin. Lauren and Caitlin work really closely with Julia and Erica. A lot of times we're getting requests for certificates of insurance. Vendors will be asking for coverage, and we make sure that the contracts are appropriately worded, so you're not taking on too much risk. You're not taking on more risk than you really need to. And then we're providing the certificates of coverage to back that up, and then vice versa. When they're looking for coverages from you or you're looking for coverages from them, we kind of sort all that out and make sure that all the language is correct. John Martino, he's our work comp guy. He works closely with all your work comp HR team to make sure that claims are effective. Your providers that all your injured workers might go to are responsible, tries to get people back to work and work with the district to get return to work done for employee well-being and also cost savings. And we also have some work comp claims manager and a property liability claims manager, and then we have a loss control guy. Phil is our loss control guy. He works closely with the district and comes out on a regular basis, helps with training. All these things are included through the program. We're a very, very close-knit team. We're very close to the district. So we have a really good working relationship. We're here as a resource. Just real quickly, the way this is kind of set up, that you as a member, you have $1,000 deductible, and then we as a pool, that NCC that I've been talking about, we self-insure for up to $50,000 for property and liability. And then it goes to other excess programs it's called SWAC, which is the statewide association for community colleges, and SAFER. So those are excess programs. We have coverage all the way up to $500,250,000 per occurrence for property, which is a lot. And so the reasoning for that is, you might be thinking, why that much? That's because some of these wildfires can be very costly and very widespread. So we want to make sure that we have enough coverage for districts that might be impacted by a wildfire. The other one is liability. It's $1 million to $75 million limits. So $75 million limit, that's a big limit. When you're thinking, why would we need that kind of limit? Well, sexual abuse and molestation has been a big deal. So this Pool SAFER that's providing that $1 million to $75 million layer, they're made up of 3 different pools, one K-12 in Southern California, one K-12 in Northern California, and then the statewide Association of Community Colleges. So there are a lot of districts in here, K-12, that have been experiencing a lot of sexual abuse and molestation claims, because recently, in the last 5 years, the statute of limitations was lifted. So there have been a lot of sexual abuse and molestation claims that have come back from previous years. Long story, but in a nutshell, there's very sympathetic juries out there right now, very big awards. Historically, the community colleges haven't been impacted as much by the sexual abuse and molestation exposure. However, there are things that are happening, the decisions that you're making, that could increase that exposure. Some of those are increased dual enrollment. So you've got minors on campus. We're addressing some of those exposures and helping districts through that kind of challenge. Some of the other issues are residences. A lot of dorms are being built. So you've got 17-year-olds in a lot of cases that are living at dorms while they're in a sports program in the summer, and they don't turn 18 until later. So there's a pretty significant exposure there. So we'd want to make sure that you're well covered. That's why we have the $75 million. The PIPS is the Protected Insurance Program for Schools. That's a first dollar coverage program that our pool goes to get coverage under that. And Colleen is the director of PIPS, and she's also the director of SWAC. So that's why Colleen is here. She'll be talking in a second. If you're wondering why Colleen's not saying anything, she'll talk in just 1 second. Just to give you a real quick overview, it's kind of like when you get your experience. It's kind of like when you get a ticket for speeding or something. You get penalized for that for a little while in your insurance rates. It's kind of similar to that in property liability and workers' comp. So when you have claims, it kind of is a little bit of a tick on your record. And so we compare you to others in the pool. So the other 10 members that are in the property liability pool, for example, if you have more than average on the number of claims, you might be paying a little bit more ultimately, or a little bit less than your neighbor, depending on your experience. And so really, it's just a way to kind of allocate. We pay SWAC and we pay PIPS a certain flat fee, but when we look at it, we divide it up on that amount that we have to pay. We divide it up between the 11 members, who's good and who's not as good. And so that's kind of how we incentivize our districts to work with us and to help them reduce exposures. So it's just a little bit of an overview. There's of how big these pools are. So the advantage of Keenan is we operate and run all of these member-driven pools, but we're the broker for them. They're just huge. So PIPS is, I think, almost 400 members, 372 districts in that. So when we go out to our partners and market this coverage for workers' comp, we're a very desirable risk, and we have a lot of momentum with volume. It's almost like going to Costco. We have a lot of leverage in the marketplace because we're so large. And the same goes with SWAC and CCC. So this is just kind of a listing of who our officers are and our board reps. So we are very much member driven. So Erica and Julia, they're both really good at coming to our board meetings. We have 4 of those a year, participating in our committees as well. And it's an awesome experience to get their input. And really our goal at these meetings is not just to come and not have anyone speak. We're really, Susan, our president, is really wanting to get people engaged, share these best practices. What do we need to be doing within the pool to not only help you, but also reduce expenses? So this is just a quick overview of the kind of coverage that you have. 500 million for property, 75 million for liability. It's got equipment breakdown. Cyber is a big one. We have a big limit on cyber. The cyber claims that we experienced when we went out, when COVID, everybody hurriedly got out there and did their thing to get remote classes and things, but that created a lot of exposures, and we had a lot of claims at that time because of that. And so we're now getting a better handle on the claims and helping all of our districts. We've got a lot of resources in place. We have an IT committee within SWAC. We are doing a lot of focus on that. We've got a consultant that comes out as part of the program and does an analysis of what your platform looks like and how vulnerable you are. And we also have active assailant coverage, which is something that happens as it's coverage that happens if you have somebody threatening with a weapon, a deadly weapon, or if something happens with a deadly weapon. Coverage will kick in there to not only provide you with assistance during the event, but after the event. So funeral expenses, medical expenses, things that wouldn't be covered otherwise. So that coverage kicks in. We also have crime and electronic data processing equipment coverage. Some of the questions that come up frequently are earthquake coverage. Do we have earthquake coverage? Well, no, earthquake coverage is not covered under our MOC. It's called Memorandum of Coverage, and it's not an insurance policy. And we call it a Memorandum of Coverage because it's really an understanding between all of the members of what's going to be covered and what they're paying for their coverage. And this is where it's really customized rather than an insurance policy. We look at what's most likely to happen. We try to get the best coverage for you. Earthquake is very expensive, so we don't really want to include that in our program, but we also want to make it offered out in the marketplace. We can go out and market you, but some of the hard parts of earthquake is it's pretty expensive. So this is just an example of what a building valued at $28 million. It would cost $22,500 a year to insure it. And you're thinking, well, that might not be too bad, but the kicker is there's a 10% deductible. So it'd be a $2.5 million deductible. So it'd have to be a pretty big earthquake in order for this coverage to kick in. So it is something that's to consider, though. I mean, you guys are obviously in that world. I remember we were at a meeting in Napa, at an NCCC meeting, and Erica, everybody's phone started going off, and Erica was like, oh my gosh, we just had this huge earthquake. I got to figure out if my husband's going to be able to get home across the bridge. And so we know that happens to you guys. So it is available if it's something to consider, but it's not covered through the memorandum of coverage. Otherwise, that would be just cost prohibitive. Everyone was covered for earthquake within that program. The other one that's not necessarily covered is flood. It's a little bit of us covered through flood through SWAC. And that is sudden and accidental discharge from water supply lines, sprinkler systems, sewers, or drains, but it doesn't cover flood, waves, tidal water, overflow of streams, or other bodies of water. And that's something that we can also help you analyze to determine if it's something that you want. And it's something that is worth considering for sure, because FEMA, as you know, is very not the easiest to work with when it comes to putting in claims and making sure that you're covered. I don't know if that's necessarily also, there's a National Flood Insurance Program that's kind of covering the basics, which is something you might want to consider for the high exposures. And not all kind of interacts with FEMA. It's very complicated, and that's something we can go over more if the board says, hey, we're interested. We can go over that more with Eric and Julia. But there's also another policy that can be purchased that's probably the best. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's much more comprehensive and better coverage. But all these are things that we just wanted to make you aware of, that Eric and Julie are doing their due diligence and making sure that we're covered well and a good program. So that's something that we kind of wanted to share with you as part of the pool. So I'm going to hand it over to Colleen to talk a little bit about SWAC and PIPS as the director.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I'm Colleen Bjorkness. As Jeff mentioned, I am the JPA manager for both the SWAC Property and Liability Program as well as the PIPS Work Comp Program. So just really quickly, as you guys know, as being members of NCCSIA, you guys are members of the SWAC JPA. And so how SWAC operates is every member has a seat at the board of directors. So it's really the membership that is making all of the, elections and providing resources. So we bring information back, and it's the board of directors that's approving everything and providing resources to SWAC itself. One of the things that we really like to do every 3 years is focus on our goals and initiatives. We want to make sure that we are always staying on track with our mission statement, which is really to be the premier property liability program for community colleges in California. So you'll see up on the screen right here, we just did a strategic planning in 2024, and really what they like to focus on what's emerging trends going on. What are the community colleges facing? Since this is a community college specific pool, looking at resources, trainings, things of that nature that are really needed during that time. So back in 2024, we were really focusing on student housing. We know a lot of colleges are starting to build student housing or have had student housing around. So we did create a task force, and that task force is meeting everywhere from the broad spectrum of how to build and what types of ways you can actually build facilities, all the way to best practices once you have students living in the dorm. So we've been running at that over the last 4 months, and continue having that over the next few years. Another thing that Jeff had mentioned earlier is that we did start an IT committee. This has been talked about for years. Obviously, we've been talking about cyber for years, and it continuously grows daily on what we're seeing in the cyber world. So SWAC has taken the initiative to invite a lot of the IT people within the community colleges to have this committee to really focus on things that they're dealing with, how they're dealing with them, and if there's anything that SWAC or the Excess Safer JPA can do to help with any of those issues that they see come up. We do have a mentor-mentee program. We're really trying to outreach to a number of people at the districts and colleges. So really focusing on that. Another benefit of SWAC is we obviously like to do webinars or roundtables. Things will always pop up that we need to address. So if there's something that comes up that's of interest, whether it's new legislation or something that needs to be enacted, we will put webinars together for the full membership of SWAC. You'll see here the last several years, we've been focusing on Title IX training since 2015, once that really emerged into the community college area outside of the universities. During COVID, we really focused on mental health webinars, ADA FEHA trainings. We have a consortium or contract with a company called Grand River Solutions. And what they do is a lot of Title IX resources. They do hearings, the decision makers, they'll come out and do investigations. Sometimes colleges don't have all of those resources. So SWAC does have a preferred pricing program with Grand Rivers. A lot of our members use it. So that was just something that came out of Title IX. Biggest loss driver amongst all the community colleges is not surprising, is employment practice liability. Constantly seeing wrongful termination, discrimination, things of that nature. So SWAC is always looking at guidelines, resources, trainings around employment practice liability. On top of that, obviously we have Keenan Safe College trainings that are highly utilized and available online. So we're constantly looking at, again, emerging trends, things that we need to be focused on. For PIPS, so PIPS really actually was started back in 2003, and really what happened from 1995 to 2003 is that a lot of districts, colleges transfer their liability to insurance carriers. They kind of went insolvent. The work went, kind of out of control, and a lot of the carriers left the work comp market in California. So it left the schools and colleges really with needing work comp coverage. So really what we did is in 2003 was develop the PIPS program, which is kind of a great world of, transferring risk as well as retaining risk. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. So we've been operating PIPS since 2003. And really the main goals is, to be financially stable. We've had, since the program started 22 years ago, our rates are lower today as it was in the program inception. And when you see inflation and medical costs and all of that stuff going up, it's really impressive to see that we can have that constant continuum amongst our work comp rates. One other thing I would point out too with the PIPs is that it's really member driven as well. We do have an elected board of directors. And really the members of PIPs are looking to ways to provide, again, resources and services like their counterpart SWAC does. So you can kind of see here with loss control, we offer endless amounts of loss control services. And these are just some of the examples you'll see here. We do trend analysis and risk improvement action plans, looking at your claims, ways that we could be safer at the college campuses. We provide prevention programs like safety awareness programs, job shadowing, things like that. Looking at slips, trips, and falls and ways of preventing that. We also 2 years ago created what we call SafeLearn, and SafeLearn is a really great online platform where we've taken our top 4 areas in which we have the most losses, if it's facilities or teachers, and creating platforms for those groups to be able to meet monthly and have resources available to them. So those groups can come into monthly meetings, have roundtables with each other, and then there's resources providing to those groups. So a great piece that we have added 2 years ago. We also created what we call an incentive program. So really that's money given back from the PIPS program to the membership for completing safety resources, whether it's going to a roundtable that we have or going to one of the SafeLearn groups that we just talked about. And then if they complete all of those safety goals, money goes back directly to the districts, or in this case, the JPA itself. I don't know if you want to talk about risk management services.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is just another offering that we was talking about with John Martino. He comes out and helps with the return to work, and he very much partners with the district and providing all the HR people training in ed code, and there's a lot of assistance provided there. I think the bottom line is we provide a lot of resources. We have, as you guys probably know, our Keenan Safe Colleges. You might do some of the trainings for board members in some of our platforms. We have a lot. I think sometimes what we really try to do is that we know it can be overwhelming. We don't want to make it overwhelming. We want to make it the best that it can be for you guys to use and the easiest. So our goal is to really, not only get to our board members, so we get to speak to Erica and Julia 4 times a year, but we also have this team that really comes out and talks to your individual members, individual workers and employees that are doing the work in their different roles and things. And the fact that now we're getting to talk to the board, which is getting that support. So you understand from the top down, it's so critical that you're all really committed to risk management and committed to this program, because you guys are the ones that are really going to make it successful, make it cost less, and make it cost effective for you. The better that you guys perform, the easier it is for us to go out and market all of this coverage and say, hey, come work with us. You really want this, because we are a great performing risk. And so I think that's the biggest thing is all of these things that we offer. Our goal is to say, okay, how can we get to the right people? How can we get to the operations people that are doing hazard communication, and how do we help them, and how do we get out there and do this stuff? Because we have all these resources through the pool. Probably our biggest challenge is communicating it to everyone and getting to the right person. And I think that by doing these types of presentations, you might think, oh, this is a lot, but we really want you to understand all these resources that you have and why they're here, and why we can bring such a successful program to you is so all of that is because you're participating. And that's what a JPA is all about in a nutshell. Sharing those best practices, sharing in the risk. We make sure that it's well funded, and we try to do our best to make sure that we're charging the right amounts of money, so we never have to come back and say, hey, oh, by the way, we didn't collect enough during these years and we need to come back and collect more. That's probably our worst case scenario. We never want to do that. So we're always balancing, what do we want to charge fairly and not undercharge, not overcharge. So you guys can self-insure. And that's really what we're here for, is to help you guys self-insure to do that, accomplish that goal of a JPA, and sharing and cost reduction and best practices and all that good stuff. So there are some safety credits that are offered through the program. Those are also utilized mostly by Erica and Julia figuring out how those are used. But I think in summary, we're just really happy to be able to get to talk to you guys and kind of get to know you a little bit better, because we rarely get this opportunity. So we really want to thank Erica and Julia for allowing us to do this. And we're out and about. My goal is to get out to every district. I said this about 3 board meetings ago. I've been to 3 or 4. But if you remember that territory that we have, it's pretty big, pretty wide territory, a lot of windshield time. But my goal is, I think I have an appointment with Julie in March, so we're going to be and Erica, and we're going to be talking more about how we can get to more people and provide these resources to more of you. And we just thank you for your support and your partnership.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And a great deal of information for us. Are there any trustees who have comments or questions? That was really a lot of information for us, and obviously our district is benefiting from working with Keenan Associates and the JPA. So we very much appreciate your coming via technology today and covering the information for us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, excuse me, that brings us to 7.3, enrollment update with Dr. Moffett. Welcome.
I'm gonna let Julie drive PowerPoint that was included in the board packet. I'm here to just provide a very brief enrollment report. Go to the next slide. These are our full-time equivalent students numbers for just fall semesters. And as you can see, we are above our COVID numbers, so we have reached our target. Any questions about that? Okay.
It's great news.
And these are our projections for our numbers, so just to say that we are on target. Next.
It's working, it's working.
So when we compare fall of 21 to fall of 25, these are some of the things that showed up for me to highlight where we have high growth in these categories. So our 18 and 19-year-old categories having growth. Our older students, 40 and above, are continuing to grow, especially since just this last year. So that's something to highlight. Obviously, since COVID, our in-person campuses, Eureka and Del Norte campuses have increased, but we also to continue to grow a little bit online. The categories that have to do with courses, the non-transferable courses were the ones that had the highest growth. So those are the courses that would not be eligible for an associate degree of transfer. So those would be more like our GPA. And we've had a rush of new students since COVID, but that has been declining since last year. So we're having more part-time students and more continuing students and returning students. So continuing students are the ones that come back semester after semester, and then the returning students are the ones who were here, but maybe didn't come back in a subsequent semester, but then returned. So here are just a few graphs to show growth, the percentage of growth from, again, that fall 21 semester to fall 25. The one on the left is academic load. Again, we have increased in our full-time students. The one in the middle is enrollment status. Again, I just had highlighted that. High school students, new students, returning students, transfer students not growing as much. The student age, this is based on the different age categories. So any questions about that? Okay, and then we have course location. The course occupational status, those are based on our data warehouse, how we categorize things, but things, courses that are clearly occupational courses have the highest growth. And then again, the kinds of courses that for transfer and the ones that are not transferable have the highest. And that was it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments from Trustee Muller?
I just have a question. I should know this, but I forget. Summer enrollment, does that go towards 25, 26 or the previous year?
It depends how we decide we want to count.
Have we decided?
Yes. So sometimes we want to speak to things.
Only if you wish me to
Yes.
speak about it. We have the option of how we want to count summer. And also it depends upon when the census date is by course, by section. Right, and so where we had the 185
Yeah.
was counted from last summer.
Right.
So of course, so we were able to move that into this year. So right now we're in the conversation about how do we want to count the upcoming summer. So we have options there. So we wanted to count 185 this year, so we could show at least 5% growth over our target for this year. And so now that we have actually surpassed our target. Now what we want to do is front load next year, so we have a continuum of growth over the next 3 years.
So summer of 26 would count towards 26, 27.
We can, yes.
Because it would be kind of quirky, wouldn't it? to
Yeah,
count summer
that's one of the unique opportunities in California. Is that we can shift, it's called the summer shift, so we have the option of how we want to do that.
Which is all quirky, but that's my language. But
Yes.
we can't double count, right?
No, we cannot, we have to declare if we're gonna count it for last year, or we're gonna count it for the following year.
Okay, so,
Traditionally, the academic year is summer is on the front end.
okay, yeah, okay.
But we have that option whether we want to count it in the back end, however.
So this projection for summer 2025, it's not really a projection, that's what it was.
That's what we're counting, and what the projection is for.
Thank you. I
Welcome.
probably should have known all that, but
It's quirky,
it is.
it is kind of quirky in California.
Thank you.
Trustee Rice had a question.
I just had maybe it's too broad, but it was interesting to see the growth factors, the statistics of what is different and what's growing. Is there conclusions or intuitions that can be made about that data or that are being made? Does that question make sense?
I'm not sure about the question, but let me take a stab at an answer, and then you can redirect. We can conclude two things. One is that there are going to be less high school graduates. So our focus has been on returning students for retention and moving part-time students to full-time. Part of that has worked. Of course, then we see a lot more part-time students coming. I think that's a combination of things happening. One is the wonderful outreach and retention effort of our staff, but also because of the economy is not as vibrant as one what has been told. So when the economy goes down, usually the enrollment goes up. And we've been trying our best to focus not on transfer courses, although that's gonna happen, but how we are going to recruit into our career education. So in that regard, our plan is actually working.
Okay, yeah, that is helpful, because that's what it seems like that's indicative of larger social patterns that's be helpful to adapt to.
And that led into our decision to front load faculty hiring into career education this year.
Trustee Gunn.
So the first slide with this is actually for President Flamer. So the growth rate is great to be up. How does that growth rate fit with the growth rate that the budget was based on?
Actually, so our budget was based on hitting a particular target and we were past it.
Okay,
So now the question is how much the state's going to fund growth in the next couple of years.
but the budget is on track. I mean, with the growth.
Yeah, the question though that we're wrestling with, or someone's gonna have to wrestle with next year, is how much unfunded FTS are we willing to carry? And we have been through this 10 years ago, is that we enrolled more students than the state had money to pay. And it's been my position that I don't want to turn off the tap. That we still want to enroll as many students as we can afford to enroll. Because once you turn off the tap and we need it in a couple of years, it's hard to build that trust back for our community to have them come back. So that's that is the balancing act that we're trying to play today.
Trustee Murray?
Yeah, so based on what you just said, we could deny a student admission.
No,
Well, I didn't think so.
no, we cannot deny, but quirky again. So yes, we cannot deny because we have open enrollment.
Yeah,
Open access, but we don't have to offer as many sections. Of course, and so that's how we can control
Which is where the cost is.
that, which is where the cost of,
Got it.
and the cost of part-time faculty.
okay.
And if you cap some classes too, like there's no place, English, the cap went in, didn't it?
At one point it did, yes. Again, the discussion on cap size, we have to be careful how we have that conversation.
Any other comments? Trustee Donkers?
My question is much more minute. Just trying to wrap my head around the course transfer status on the last slide and what non-transferable classes would be. So are those typically occupational or what do those tend to be?
Yeah, I think that they could be anything that doesn't count towards the ADT. So I would think that they're more like the general education ones, but also there are students, also there are students who are working towards just their associate degree. That's not an associate degree for transfer. So there are different requirements. And so the requirements for an ADT are the ones that are in the category for the transfers. Did I get the GE one wrong?
It's Berkeley, California.
Yeah.
But it's very close.
I would, looking at the growth rate for the 18 to 19-year-olds, and I would just think that both our work with the high schools, both outreach at the high schools, program at the high schools, it has, an effect there, and that has been a real effort. And I would think also that the success and strength of our athletic programs has something to do with that. That is the age group that coming in largely to begin a college program with athletics. And I think that that's really must have played a role in that.
It did, and may I offer a
Yeah.
third, and that is what we're doing with concurrent dual enrollment.
Mhm.
Because even though they're taking courses in high school, once they have a good experience with us, then they'll just, once they're done with high school, then they'll come back.
Yeah, it's kind of, rolling that in. A quick question, on Pelican Bay, and an actual drop, is this showing an actual drop in enrollment?
It's awfully
It's like-
minor.
It is minor, I
What,
would,
7 FTS?
That's what I would say. We don't have a lot of control over having to be able to have growth at
Sure.
Pelican Bay,
sure,
but the numbers are very small to have that decline.
Yeah.
It's minor.
because I know there's been a lot of demand for the courses there.
Yeah.
If you looked at a graph, it looks like it's just
Stable.
Okay.
Vice President.
Yes,
So that drop at Pelican Bay, is that like with Feather River, having students as well? Could that account for that?
I don't know.
I was just thinking at
I think
graduation.
it's Mostly our space constraints at Pelican Bay.
Yes.
trustee Biggin?
I was wondering, related to the transfer, question, aren't we rewarded financially if we increase the transfer rate and the age?
Yes, we are.
So, are we kind of losing money because we're not making as much progress with transfer students?
There is still growth in that area, it's just not as a high growth rate as some other areas.
As far as this, can I answer, as far as this gift as well, we do get funding for having 9 CTE credits. So we do get funding for that as well.
So
So
that kind of compensates for the, okay.
I wish the answer was simple, but it is, as not, as you know, that the state
It's
has
quirky.
many, it's quirky. Yeah.
Quirky, the new buzzword.
Yeah, I was gonna say, probably go after that.
Chris, I don't think I grasped the answer to trustee Dronker's question very well. I may have been trying to multitask, but the non-transferable classes are just like practically, what kind are those again?
I wonder, Dr. Morris, would you want to take a stab at this one?
Sure, I would be happy to make a very precise cut. Instead of a stab, these are occupational related, or they are courses that are specific to a terminal certificate at College of the Redwoods. So it's something that is specific to what we offer as an institution identified by the type of profession we're encouraging a student into.
Thank you. And
In fire tech.
so, but that was part of the governor's agenda as well, like expanding those types of classes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's going to trustee Biggin's question about funding.
Like you said, it's another category in SCIF that we get credit for, so it's not one or the other.
Got it.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much.
thank you.
And thanks for answering all our questions. Okay, we move to 7.4. Lively Farm update and Mr. Silas Stubbins, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, you all. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I do this once a year. But thank you all for having me. Thank you, Dr. Flamer, for the invitation, Julie for the presentation upload. This presentation kind of stems from the annual letter I send to the Coastal Commission every year on the Caltrans grant we received back in 2008. And so what I'm going to go over today is a little bit, on that report that was attached to the board packet, but just some other details on the farm as well. So we'll go over some farm highlights for the past year, student involvement in grants, the Caltrans fund, farm financials, and then leave some time for questions. So if you were able to look at the letter to the Coastal Commission, I put quite a bit of highlights on there. These are just some that I thought were important to share with you all. We hosted a farmer gathering through North Coast Growers Association, where we had 50 local farmers and gardeners all the way out in Shively this summer. We had a really robust campus farm stand once a week during the fall. This year we were able to offer I decided to offer a 25% discount to any students that shopped at the stand, and that was really popular. We'll go over some sales data from those stands, but strawberries were like the big seller. Students loved the fresh fruit, yeah, and staff and faculty as well. We attended 15 Friday night markets in Eureka and Arcata, the new Arcata markets in September. That's been really nice because it's if you've attended, it's not your traditional farmers market, and it's we've been able to carve out kind of a piece where I don't feel like we're stepping on local farmers and growers' toes by being there and offering what we grow, which again at that, primarily strawberries. And I think it's really good outreach for College of the Redwoods and the farm for people to find out that we do have a farm, we have this program, and for them to be able to shop with us. We hosted the Organic Seed Alliance, a national nonprofit who does plant research, breeding, and trials for organic growers. And we had a field day with them where we had over 50 attendees at that as well to go over the research they've been doing at the farm. And that's been a continuing relationship with them as well. We've had since I've been there, I think probably since 2020, we've had a trial with them. And then towards the end of the season, we were able to donate 300 pounds of winter squash, over 250 heads of cauliflower. A lot of it went to the emergency food drive through Food for People. But that was distributed, not by me, that was through our Basic Needs Center. So props to them for helping us with that. And then they were able to distribute produce to our students through the Basic Needs Center that was remaining. Student involvement, during the past growing season, we had 6 students off and on working at the farm, involved in mostly crop production, but we still do, we have sheep, we had laying hens this past season, so they get a little bit of experience with that, but it's mostly crop production, harvesting and selling through our CSA, our farm stand, and locally wholesale as well. We had a student worker crew led by Brian Dunn, our forestry ISS. And that was working on a restoration grant we got through Point Blue Conservation Science, removing invasive species, planting native pollinator habitat. That's been a 3-year grant that wraps up in December 2026. It's been really, really thankful for Brian for being willing to work with me to host those days with students and get them out there, because that's a different lever we've been able to pull, and using that grant funding to get students out to the farm and involved in it. And then we hosted Ag 68 spring farming practices and Ag 51 tractor operations at the farm, and hosted field trips from our forestry and agriculture departments this past year. I'm hoping to build on that. You probably know that the ag faculty is my sister, Alyssa Sarvinsky, and so we have a close relationship. We've been brainstorming ways because of obviously the logistics of getting students all the way out to the farm, and it's not always easy in that 2-hour, 3-hour lab. So we've been just kind of brainstorming ways as she kind of gets more comfortable in her role to grow the program and be able to utilize the farm even more with our existing classes. And then with the Caltrans grant, since that letter was there, just some of the things we purchased in the last year, we were able to purchase a delivery van, a new UTV vehicle, a diesel transfer tank, picking assistance, which is what that person's laying on Logan, that's our caretaker at the farm, to be able to pick strawberries without breaking your back. So that's kind of been a fun thing to try out and get used to this past season. And then some of the purchases we're planning for 2026 is with that Caltrans Fund money is some dedicated camping areas. We have a camping addendum that allows students to be able to camp out at the farm, but they're packing in their own tents and supplies, and it works, but it's not like the most seamless for them. It's another thing for them to have to think about. So we're looking at just building these little platform decks with wall canvas tents that are available for them to use. Typically they'll camp out in between 2 days of working out at the farm. And then this just goes over our revenue and expenses. It's exceeding any labor, which I include at the bottom. Our revenue did go up in this last fiscal year. That was because of strawberry production increasing, of strong farm to table dinner in 2024. But our expenses kind of went up at a similar rate, a little less. But I do have year-to-date numbers for our current fiscal year, 2026. Our revenues at just under $80,000. Our year-to-date expenses are just under $33,000. So,
Wow, that's good.
yeah, so in the spring, most farmers incur a lot of costs, seeds, amendments, fertilizers. But I know for sure it'll be below that mark in 2025 fiscal year. And then we will still bring in some additional revenue through our community sport agriculture CSA box signups in spring. And then we'll be able to attend at least 3, maybe 4 of the Friday night markets in Eureka at the end of the fiscal year. And this is really a lot of data, not the most appealing slide, but I just want to show, because these are sales from the fiscal year that I feel like benefit our farm, but the community and students and faculty and staff. So our Friday night market sales, I feel like, when we started going back in 2018, 2019, our sales were not even near that. And we've been able to really increase our strawberry production and, move a lot of product at the Friday night market, at our campus farm stand. When you see our numbers dip with the campus farm stand, that's because our strawberries and the rainy season comes, we get harvested. And then pumpkin patch, even, that's people coming all the way out to Shively on just 3 days. And it just shows that people are willing to come out, not just with those other events we had, but with our pumpkin patch as well, and, spend money and, enjoy the farm. And then our online web store sales, I just wanted to show that because that is, this summer, we grew a lot more strawberries and had to figure out how do we move all these strawberries. So we started offering to, on our online web store, day of delivery to campus strawberries, either by like a 3-basket tray or a full box of 12 baskets. So we would upload, we'd pick the strawberries Tuesday morning, we'd upload them onto our online store. I send out an email internally to CR faculty and staff, basically the Eureka email. And that's, what we sold just through that on Tuesdays. So that just shows, really great support from our faculty and staff, and a certain trustee who asked to be included in that email as well, so she could get strawberries.
A certain trustees. Almost to my left.
Yeah, so I just think these are just sales we're doing in the community that aren't including like our wholesale farm share, our CSA program, just things that we are attending or hosting out of the farm. Yeah, I'm just open to any questions about anything regarding the farm.
Any questions or comments? Trustee Dottie?
Yes, I'm the trustee. My granddaughter was bugging me every time I come home. Did you bring strawberries? Anyway, I visited the farm stand on campus several times and everyone was so helpful and your students work hard and, it's your income levels have increased and it's a clear indication of how hard you guys have been working. And that's wonderful. And anyway, those strawberries were great.
Very true.
Yeah.
Strawberries outsold you too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they were outstanding.
Historically, over a number of years, it is great to see so much activity and production and coursework and student involvement at the farm. It's really made there's a steep incline there.
Thank you.
Trustee Rice.
How many different crops you produce there? Maybe you already said that.
No, I mean, when you look at all the varieties and everything, it's over 100 different crops because we do the farm share. So we have like around 50 members every year that sign up and get a box of produce from us for 20 weeks. And so we have to make sure that we have a variety of, usually 6 to 8 different things in their box from the 3rd week of June all the way this year through October. So we're continuing to do succession plantings, and we'll be starting onions in a few weeks for that. We already have strawberries and garlic in the ground. So it takes a lot of planning, which is there's a lot of crops I wouldn't grow, that don't maybe grow optimally at the farm in the climate. But for our CSA members and for the student learning experience, it's like a win-win in terms of like figuring out ways to grow them and have a harvestable crop. So yeah, we're learning friends.
Thank you.
Trustee Pedretti?
You have the animals too, like the chickens. Is there any other animals?
Yeah, we do.
Sheep.
We do sheep for meat production. We have 9 ewes, so it's pretty small, but we rotate them through our upper paddocks and lower field as well, and then a couple goats that are just kind of living out their lives. Help out with brush control.
Living up their life.
Yeah, we did have laying hens the past 2 years, and they were kind of reaching the end of their maximum production, so we sold those this fall. We'll start anew this spring chicks, and we'll have eggs hopefully by next August.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I want to ask before we move on to our organizational administrative reports, if we want a 5-minute break. Everybody, okay? All right, and we will move to organizational reports. Do we have a report from Academic Senate today? No. From CRFO today, I'm not seeing, okay. Classified, President Rachel Worsey. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. I'll be short and sweet. I just wanted to introduce Tatiana Robinson. She is our new elected vice president for CSEA. Just a little bit about her. She's been employed as a classified staff since 2014. She was a student worker prior, and she's held several different roles all around student services. For the most part, she's been an evaluation specialist, an academic affairs analyst, a curriculum specialist, and you can ask all the faculty. She's amazing and very helpful. She has served on the negotiation team with me in this last contract, and she also serves on the district's institutional effectiveness committee. I can't say enough good things about her, and I'm really excited to partner with her this year. But I just wanted you to meet her. You may see more of her, and that's the only thing I have for today.
Thank you. Well, welcome and thank you for coming, and it's good to meet you.
See you as well. Thank you for coming.
8.4 Management Council President Lee Dooley. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. You have a written report, and I don't have anything to add, but I'm happy to take questions.
Does anybody who have any questions? Thank you. Thank you for the report. And our student trustee is not here, right? That brings us to administrative reports. 9.1, President Flynn.
Thank you. You had a chance to meet some of our fall 2025 student athletes at the last board meeting. And I just received a report that I'd like to share with you. And that is the academic achievement of our student athletes in the fall. So allow me to read this for the record. And this is in order of their achievement. Volleyball team, their GPA was rounded up to 3.65.
Wow.
Women's basketball was 3.6. Men's basketball, slightly less, to 3.3. 3.32. Just a little bit. Rodeo, 3.2. Football, 3.07. Men's and women's cross country, 3.0. Women's soccer, 2.6. Men's wrestling, 2.6. Men's soccer, 2.3. So this is very good news. Our student athletes, as you know, they have to balance not just their competition, but their classroom work. But also major shout out to our coaches. Because they are really making sure that our students stay in the classroom. And they've done an extraordinarily good job.
Great. Thank you. Because I truly believe that sports is motivating for that, not only through the support you get, but the motivation to come and to do well.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any questions on President Flamer's report? That brings us to Vice President of Administrative Services, Morrison. You?
Thank you for the opportunity to make some additional comment in addition to my report. And I did have a verbal comment, and this is switching gears to the Measure I Del Norte Center Healthcare Revitalization Project. Just a really quick update on that project. As part of the process, the district is required to secure a conditional use permit from the County of Del Norte. And as part of that process, there's been some requirements coming from the county that weren't, I guess you could say, counted. We weren't aware of these requirements, and they are requirements that could have dollars attached to them. And some of the examples are adding pedestrian pathways to adjacent property, doing a traffic analysis, and all these things were not planned on. So we're working with legal counsel, we're working with bond counsel and the design team to really fine tune and figure out what those requirements truly are going to end up being for that conditional use permit. And at this time, we don't have enough information to relay what the potential time impact or dollar impact might be on the budget, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that that's a recent development in that project. Let's did I miss anything?
Fortunate.
So I'd be happy to answer any questions about that or anything in my report.
Any questions? Did you have a comment, President Flamer?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That brings us to Vice President of Instruction and Student Development, Dr. Morse.
Good afternoon, thank you for the opportunity. I have nothing to add to the written report that's submitted, but I'm happy to address any questions the board may have.
Are there any questions? Thank you for the report. And that brings us to Executive Director of College Advancement and the Foundation. Mr. Coelho, welcome.
Good afternoon. Quick update to my report, since we were still counting checks that came in over the holidays. Looks like we had 7 gifts that qualify for matching funds. They have to donate at least $2,500 more. So that raised about $30,000, and then we also received another $7,000 in miscellaneous gifts. So not too bad for 4 weeks. We're asking the community for support. Of interest, 2 of our social media posts. One was liked 1,700 times. Another one was liked 1,100 times. We tried a new approach of kind of profiling out our students who have received scholarships and talking about their history and what they're trying to accomplish here at CR. That seemed to be well received. Continue with those types of posts.
Gets people's attention.
Yeah, I think it makes it more interesting. Most of social media right now is AI generated. And you can put in your any questions.
Thank you. Any Trustee Doyle?
You did a great job on the ad on the radio.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us on our agenda to item 10, future agenda items, reports. If there are any requests from trustees, put an item on a future agenda. This time, we'll work our way up to it. Okay, seeing none, that brings us to adjournment, and thank you all for the first meeting of the year.
And your first meeting as president, congratulations.
Yeah, good job.
One more time.
One more time.
And we are